All right, what's going on, guys? Could everyone hear me all right? All right, so basically what we're going to be doing today, it's a quick little follow-up on the notes that we did on evolution, okay? What's going on, Evelyn? So I'm basically going to go over the notes for evolution again, the newer notes, okay? And then really talk about Darwin and the other scientists that went on and discovered some of these things, okay? So your notes yesterday, how are you, Brian? And then the notes that I put on last night, it basically breaks up evolution into the 4 different categories that are associated with it, okay? So you have mutation, adaptation, natural selection, and extinction, okay? So we're going to go into each one of those right now, okay? So for mutation, all right? With evolution, mutation could be a good thing or a bad. If you survive, then that mutation was good. But if it doesn't, okay, then it's unfavorable, all right? Meaning it's not going to help out. Let's see, what did Evelyn say? I thought you said Monday we're going to have class. Yes, we are. So we're going over the notes that we had that I posted last night, Evelyn. So this is our quick little class going over those notes, and then I'm going to assign you guys something after, okay? We're not really learning anything new. Now we're organizing the 2 notes to your environment, all right? You guys are all in 7th grade now. You had to adapt going into the middle school, learning where your classes were, moving around, working with the lockers, okay? So this is adapting, all right? If you weren't able to find your classroom, what's eventually going to happen? You're going to be late for class and probably getting in trouble. So that is a smaller scale of how evolution works. And going from there, okay? Now, natural selection is you exhibit traits that best enable to survive, okay? So that's basically, you know, let's say we're back in where we have to actually hunt for our food instead of going to the supermarket. All right, what's going on, Jose? And you know, usually whoever was the fastest is the one that's going to catch the prey. Okay, when we were learning about ecology and all that, we're prey and the consumers, we're consumers. All right, I know we go to the supermarket now, but back in the day, whoever was the fastest one is going to get that prey. Okay, and then extinction. Basically, if you weren't able to keep up with evolution and maybe you had a couple of bad traits that kept passing on over time, your species is going to become extinct. All right. There are a lot of animals, okay, that are no longer here because they became extinct. What's one of the ones off the top of your head that you guys can think of? What's a type of species that became extinct many years ago? Write in the comment. What could you guys think? What's one animal? All right, mammoth, dinosaur, okay. So mammoth, right? What does mammoth look like? What kind of animal that's on the earth today? The woolly mammoth. It's all right. Don't worry about spelling. Elephant, right? So elephant and woolly mammoth, they're both mammals, and they all came from the same common ancestor, okay? But the woolly mammoth didn't get passed on the traits that it needed to, and it eventually became extinct, okay? So we talked about who was one of the guys that was behind evolution and studying evolution. You guys remember it was in the notes on Monday. You guys remember? Starts with a C. I'm actually going to move over to the other side. So it was Charles Darwin. He was the one, all right, that actually concluded, okay, he established that every species, okay, all species came from a common ancestor. Okay? So he was the one that went back and said, all right, everything has to come from the same ancestor. Okay? And what he did was he was actually the one that proposed natural selection. Okay? So he was the guy that actually came up with that rule of natural selection. Where traits get passed on, and whatever the strong traits are, usually that's the offspring that survives, okay? So what happened was he actually went to the Galapagos Islands, okay? And I'm going to show you a video. That's what we'll be posting after this. And he found his evidence through two types of animals. So the two animals he was studying were the finches, okay, which is a type of bird, all right? And he was also looking at iguanas, okay? These two animals, when he was at the Galapagos Islands, which is a couple of islands, he was noticing that the finches on one island were different than the finches on the other island. Same thing with the iguanas, okay? So this is when he started to notice that natural selection, depending on the conditions of each island, it was changing the animals on it, okay? So what we use now, and we're able to figure it out, is what are some of the things that we can find in rocks? If any of you have watched Jurassic Park, what are some of the things that they find in old rocks that could help us with evolution? Fossils, good, okay? So Charles Darwin was able to look at some of these, but then now what scientists are able to do is you're able to look at fossils and see different patterns with evolution, okay? Now, remember, a lot of these with natural selection, okay, you can have evolution also adapting to your environment, okay? So let's talk about those giraffes over time. What did they have to do with their necks in order to reach those high places? That's all right, Anthony. All right, how are those giraffes eventually able to eat from the high branches? How did they adapt without going extinct? What were they able to pass on the gene for? What do you guys think? Can you guys hear me? They can use their trunks for the giraffes. What about this? Next, right? So I want you guys to think about this. Let's look at polar bear. All right. What do we know about polar bear? Where do they usually live? Warm climates or cold climates? Arctic, right? Cold. Okay. So I'm actually going to write cold climate. Okay. Now, what do we know about polar bear? Do they have hair or no hair? They have hair, right? Okay. So they have heavy fur. All right. So that heavy fur is keeping them warm. What else do we know about polar bears? Just off the top of your head. Are they a large animal or are they kind of small? They're huge, right? So polar bears actually have lots of body fat. All right. And because they have lots of body fat, they're able to keep themselves warm in cold climates. All right. So I'm actually going to erase this right here. And then we're going to go to our next example. All right. Now, let's think about a cacti or cactus. All right. How does that adapt to the desert? If you ever think of a cactus, are they strong? And do they have like a mechanism where animals can't eat it? Or are they like a regular vegetable plant that you can find in the backyard? Full of water, okay? So a cactus, all right, the stems store water, okay? Now, cacti, if you ever feel a cacti, their stems and their leaves, okay, they adapted where they're not letting water escape through them, okay? They're really tough. Now, they also have spikes, okay? And the reason they have spikes is that animals that live in the desert, they don't have water either. So those cacti have to protect themselves from getting eaten. More to Long Island, okay? So I know we've been stuck inside for the past, couple of weeks, but over in the springtime, what are some of the animals that come out? All right, so I'm gonna write spring. Long Island. Okay. What are some of all right, rabbits, good. I'm glad you guys said that. All right. We do get birds too. We're gonna talk about rabbits. All right. What color are those rabbits? And bees. All right. But I'm looking more towards the rabbits and the squirrels. Brown, right? They're usually brown. Do we ever see any white rabbits? Mostly brown, though. I'm seeing a lot of us saying brown. Okay. So let's think about this for a minute. When we're doing ecology, which is second quarter, where do rabbits usually get their energy from? What do they eat? Going back, second quarter. Grass, right? Perfect. So I'm gonna do this. Again, my drawing's not gonna be the best. All right. And there's my rabbit. All right. I only got a black marker, but that's gonna be brown. Okay. Now, what usually eats a rabbit? What can we think of? Hawks or foxes. Okay. Now, here's the thing. If you have, right, you guys all know basically grass is green, sometimes it's brown. Okay. Are you able to spot a brown rabbit or a white rabbit fast? If you had to look outside on a nice spring day, which one are you going to find first? Are you going to find a brown rabbit or a white rabbit? A white one. Jose, why would you think it's a white one? All right, a lot of you guys are saying white now. Why would you think you'd be able to see a white one before you could see a brown one out there? They pop out more, okay? So that all has to go with natural selection and adaptation, okay? The brown rabbits, all right, they're able to camouflage more, okay? Whereas the white rabbits, they're going to stick out. So if you're a hawk flying overhead, you're going to easily find those white rabbits. So that's why during the spring, you don't see white rabbits and you see a lot more that are brown, okay? And the same thing in the wintertime, which type of white rabbit are you going to find more over the wintertime? The white rabbits, because they blend in more. It's all about blending in. It's how you adapt to your environment, okay? Think about it. If you stand out, all right, you're going to get picked off more. Now, I don't know if they're still around, but has anyone ever gone to like laser tag? Do you guys know what laser tag is? Where it's the lasers and you have to find someone? Yeah, some of you. So with laser tag, it's in the dark, okay? And everything kind of glows. And you have like the lasers and you have to get the other team, all right? Now the problem is, if any of you have ever gone, has anyone gone with white shoes where they light up and then everyone can see you going, okay? Whereas if you're wearing dark, you do have to adapt to your environment, okay? And again, if you don't adapt, your species over time will become extinct, okay? Let me see if I got. So in the slides that I sent you guys, there is also a link to a moth, okay, that I want you guys to watch. All right, it shows how a moth blends in with its environment and how it can actually look like part of a tree, okay? And it's good that it adapts, right, to look like a tree, or else it's going to get eaten by a bird, okay? And then we also talk about individual variation, okay? So even though you're in the same population, right, all of us, do we all look the same? All right, we have variation with us, okay? So what happens is it's based on our genetic code, okay? And this goes back to the alleles that we get from our parents. Yes, we are all humans, we are all Homo sapiens, but now we get our genetic code that tells us whether we have blue eyes, blonde hair, brown hair, if we're lefties or righties, okay? And we go from there. For some reason, I can't see what I. For the quarter, Evelyn, we started off with cells, and then we've been going over alleles and Punnett squares and all that. Okay, it's a little different because we've been doing this from home. But the beginning of the quarter, we were doing cells, and then we started mitosis and meiosis. Okay, and then basically the last thing I want to leave you with is how we evolve is a branch of all three of these. Okay. Individuals generally survive and produce more offspring, thus passing their advantage traits, all right, onto the next generation. All right. So if you're fast and you reproduce with someone else that's fast, hopefully your offspring is also going to be fast. Okay. This is for different animals, and then you're able to survive. If you're slow and you have an offspring with someone else that's slow, your offspring is not going to survive, not going to be able to hunt. Okay. So that's basically what I wanted to go over today. I'm going to be posting a video of Charles Darwin, okay, where he actually goes through what he was learning about at the Galapagos Islands and how he was able to come up with the theory of natural selection, all right, survival of the fittest, and then we're going to go from there. Does anyone have any questions? Or any questions about the Google Classroom? As I move back over. Oh, Evelyn, the grade. So right now, the grades on Power School are what they were before we actually started at home doing this. And then I'm actually waiting for an email to find out when what they want us to do with grades. Okay. But I've been seeing who's been, doing what they're supposed to on Google Classroom, and I have been grading that. I'm waiting a couple more days for more people to get into their gene assignments, but everything else should be coming up. I did grade a couple of things last night. Brian, right now, yes, we are going. They say we're going back April 29th. We will see. They can always extend it. Okay. But right now, that's the date. All right. You guys heard that they extended it to April 29th. And that doesn't mean that we're actually going back, but all right, I'm going to be doing the 8th grade video at 1, and then a little bit after that, I will assign the video and the assignment, okay? All right, see you, Brian. Anyone else have any questions before we sign off? All right, so if you do have any questions, and again, I'm glad that it's, I realize it's the same people coming into the video. Let's see, Evelyn, the slots where it says. Oh, Evelyn, there's a couple of things that I haven't graded yet. All right. So let me know after today if you still have the problem, because I'm going to be going into those assignments now. All right. There's some things that you did do that I did grade, and there's some things that you handed in that I haven't put a grade in for yet. All right. I'm doing that today. Tomorrow, if it's still the same, shoot me an email or a message. Okay. All right. So I'll see you guys later. I appreciate you guys coming on and watching. Make sure you keep up the good work, and the assignment will be on later today. Okay. All right, guys. I'll see you later.